I'm Gold Derby News and Features Editor Ray Richmond, and I'm welcoming AJ Catoline from the Apple TV Plus hit Ted Lasso to our TV Editors Meet the Experts panel. AJ, let's
Hi,
just
thanks
jump.
for having
Howdy, thanks for being here. Let's just jump right in. Tell me, what is the trickiest thing about editing Ted Lasso?
me. Probably knowing how much it touches so many fans out there. So, when we started Ted Lasso, we had no idea it was going to turn into such a, an international hit show. We thought it might just be a simple, the show started as a bunch of short little films and sketches. We thought it would just be that. So I think, season one, it was loved. It came during the pandemic and touched so many lives. And season two, that continued. And now season three, it almost feels like there's a lot of pressure, on me as an editor to wonder as I'm looking through this amazing dailies with our incredible cast and so many choices, like, well, which take should I use? Do I use this take? Which take would Twitter want me to use? Which take would the fans want me to use? And you really think about that, but you try not to let it, get to you. You stay in the zone, and what makes this show work. And so, so it's just been a lovely, amazing journey.
I would imagine it's just the depth of the popularity of this show and winning Best Comedy Series Emmys kind of came out of nowhere. Talk about, as you just alluded to, how much fun it is to work on a show like Ted Lasso that's literally become part of the national consciousness. I mean, it's grown into this phenomenon that rises above it being a mere TV show. I'll bet it makes you popular at family gatherings.
Yeah, I have family and friends are constantly reaching out to me with questions and asking me what's going to happen next, and I have to do my best not to give up any spoilers. But yeah, look, Jason Sudeikis has said many times, Ted Lasso is not a show. It's more than a show. It's a vibe. And, I think that's really true. I mean, it's amazing to watch our cast be invited to the White House to talk about mental health and to go to so many events where fans just approach them and talk about how the show has changed their lives. But look, I think what's really great about working on it is working with the genius that is Jason Sudeikis. He's absolutely wonderful. It's great that he gets so involved in editing. The entire show is his vision, and I think everyone on the crew realizes it's about how can we get the vision out of his head and onto the screen. And he loves to come in. He's there with us, 10 hours a day in the editing room, digging into the possibilities. And then this year, the cast came over a lot too. They were in town for a bunch of events, for our premiere night, and it was incredible to be screening. I think we were watching episode 7 in the edit bay with our whole crew, and we had Toheeb Jamo, who plays Sam Obasanya, and we had Billy Harris, who plays Colin Hughes, and Kola Bikini, and so many of the members of the team. And we're watching this screening, and about 10 minutes in, we hear a knock at the door, and in walks Brett Goldstein. So we had to hit stop and start again. But it's just great when you have everyone there. It's become a real family. I'm just honored to be part of the Richmond family, and proudly wearing the badge.
Indeed. What was different about cutting this show, AJ, in season 3 than it was in seasons 1 and 2?
Well, I think knowing that we're on an arc, first of all, a lot did not change. We, on season 1, when I started this show, my producer Kit Kroger, who also produces Shrinking, and Bill Lawrence, they only gave me and Melissa, my other co-editor, a handful of scripts, and so we didn't know where it was going. And then that continued through season 2, because Jason very much likes to work on things, up until, if you give him time, he'll take it. So he's constantly rewriting things as days before they shoot them. So we're not knowing where it's going to go. And that happened in season 3 as well. We didn't know exactly how it was going to end. And so it was a lot about, keeping things open. Literally, we don't lock shows, as they say, so we can go back in. And if we know, a quick example in season 2, I didn't necessarily know that Nate, the character of Nate, was going to betray Ted and betray the team, and reveal to the press, to Trent Krim, that Ted has panic attacks. So when that gets revealed in a later episode, I had to go backwards a few episodes and kind of recut a scene and have Nate clock something in a different way and use some different shots. So a lot of that is just kind of rolling with the show and knowing, where it's going to go. We have a little editorial device we use on all the seasons. Season 1 began with a close-up shot of Rebecca, of Hannah Waddingham, and ends with a close-up shot of her. Season 2 begins with a close-up of Nate and ends with a close-up of him. And so season 3 begins with a close-up of Ted Lasso. So I knew that the arc of this show is going to be very much following, where Ted is going to end up this season. And also little things like knowing the show is a lot about fathers and the relationship with fathers. And so just following these moments and trying to track them throughout the show. But I think having the benefit of working on the last 2 seasons, that I was able to do that.
We always hear the term, we'll fix it in post. AJ, are there ever times where you feel like you literally have to fix what you're given?
Oh, sure. Jason is a big believer in that. He said to me many times that, the show's written 3 times. Once, first as a writer, then he writes it on set for the second time. But he said absolutely the show is rewritten for the 3rd and final time in the editing room. So that's a real compliment coming from him. He believes in the power of editing. So sure, there are several things. It was shot one way, but now knowing where we are, he wants to try it a different way. And then that kind of gets creative. My background as an editor comes from working in unscripted television and documentaries. So I think I've applied that to editing the show. Like, well, this is how they shot it and wrote it, but what do we have to try it in a different way? And we're constantly doing things with, Jason has a term, what movie magic can we do? Meaning that, like, he wants it this way, but we don't have it. So, what tools can you use as an editor to create some magic to then make the scene go the way he wants, or create a shot? We're doing a lot of split screens. There's a lot of visual effects which are invisible, which you wouldn't necessarily see as a viewer, but are there to make it flow. And, I think when we're doing our jobs, it is an art, but we do stay invisible, and you don't want to notice it. And then, not to mention the tons of visual effects that, we don't play an ounce of football in a single stadium. All that crowd is added later in visual effects, and those shots really come, to magic later, and it's great.
Yeah, people don't realize that stuff is layered in later on. You're submitting the 11th episode of the season, Mom City, for Emmy consideration. What is it about that one that makes you think it's your best cutting job?
Well, it's the penultimate episode, and I chose it. First of all, I co-edited it with my assistant editor, Alex Zabo, who's been with me since season 1. This show we worked together on for the first time, and Ted Lasso is a show about mentorship, so I'm so grateful for his help. And it kind of needed it on season 3 because, the episodes are longer. We're still a half-hour comedy that stretches sometimes to, 50 minutes, an hour. Episode 11 felt really special because it combines the best of Ted Lasso. It's got a lot of incredible football action sequences, but a lot of heart and very emotional. And I still watch scenes from it, and I'm still getting misty-eyed and still touching me, even though I've seen it 1,000 times. It's a great episode that brings the arc of the character Jamie Tart to a real completion. He's really grown so much, and there's so, and Ted has some beautiful moments in it. The show's called Mom City, which is a play on Man City, and so Ted has some great moments in it as well. And that's what's so great about Jason Sudeikis and this show. It's a bit of a champagne problem. We have so many beautiful characters and cast that Jason is very generous and wants to give all these characters their storyline. So that's why the season 3 feels very full. And that's because there's a lot of stories that are worthy of exploration. And 11 feels really great. And I hope you enjoy it.
Good luck. AJ, best of luck at the upcoming Emmys. You can stream the first 2 seasons and 11 of the first 12 episodes of the 3rd season on Apple TV Plus, and you can catch the 3rd season finale on Wednesday, May 31st. Thanks for joining us at Gold Derby.
Thank you. Believe.